Mind Your Language was pure TV gold, wildly funny, wildly chaotic, and forever etched into childhood memories. From Jeremy Brown's nervous grin to Miss Courtney's icy stare, these characters weren't just part of a sitcom, they were part of our lives. But behind the laughter was a deeper story. Some of these actors became household names, others vanished quietly, and a few faced heartbreak and hardship when the cameras stopped rolling. In this video, we're diving into the real people behind the comedy, who they were, what they faced, and what they left behind. So hit like, share your favorite memory in the comments, and let's give these stars the tribute they truly deserve. Barry Evans played Jeremy Brown in Mind Your Language, a role that made him the symbol of kindness and quiet charm. As the sweet-natured English teacher guiding a group of international students, Barry brought warmth, wit, and patience to every scene. His gentle smile and boyish innocence weren't just part of the character, they were part of him. Born on June 18, 1943 in Guildford, Surrey, Barry lost both parents early in life and was raised in a Shaftesbury Homes boarding school. But even in that tough start, his acting gift was impossible to miss. He earned the John Gielgud Scholarship and trained at the Central School of Speech and Drama, one of Britain's top institutions. After making waves in Here We Go Round the Mulberry Bush, 1968, Barry was on his way to becoming a film star, but by the mid-1990s, everything had changed. The offers stopped, the spotlight faded. To survive, he took up work as a minicab driver. In a heartbreaking moment, he wrote to a TV network just to say, "I'm still alive." Then came the tragedy. In 1997, Barry Evans was found lifeless in the living room of his modest home in Lutterworth. He was only 53. The scene was unsettling. An injury to his head, alcohol in his blood at 4 times the legal limit, a handwritten will beside an expired packet of aspirin. Just days earlier, he had reported his taxi stolen. His passing shook fans deeply. Here was a man who once lit up screens with laughter, gone in silence and mystery. His story is a painful reminder. Fame fades fast, and sometimes behind the comedy there's a quiet, aching loneliness the world never sees. Albert Moses played Ranjit Singh, a role that turned a soft-spoken Sikh from Punjab into one of British television's most endearing characters. With his gentle tone and the unforgettable catchphrase, "1,000 apologies," Albert gave Ranjit a quiet dignity that made audiences laugh and remember. Born on December 19, 1937 in Gola, deep in Sri Lanka's Kandy region, Albert's journey to stardom was anything but ordinary. Before ever stepping on a stage, he worked at the University of Ceylon and even made documentary films across Africa. His passion eventually took him to London, where he studied drama and built a versatile acting career, moving effortlessly between Bollywood, British TV, and the theater, often sharing the stage with icons like Dame Diana Rigg. But Albert wasn't just in front of the camera, he also worked behind the scenes, producing 13 episodes of Mind Your Language. A true polymath, he spoke 6 languages and trained in everything from fencing and singing to motorcycling, karate, and judo. His film career stretched for decades, with standout roles in An American Werewolf in London, 1981, and his final bow in The Snarling, 2018. A fitting tribute to a man whose presence always elevated the screen. Albert Moses passed away in London on September 15, 2017 at the age of 79. He was laid to rest in his hometown of Gampola, Sri Lanka. Though he left quietly, his legacy speaks volumes. A life lived with grace, talent, and an unwavering dedication to storytelling. Zara Nutley played Miss Dolores Courtney, a role that captured the sharp, steely presence of a no-nonsense headmistress with a hidden layer of charm. As the stern authority figure in the classroom, she ruled with military-like discipline, silencing both students and staff with just a glare. But beneath that icy persona was a performance so precise, it became unforgettable. Born Zara Mary Chip Jabber on August 19, 1924, in Cornwall, England, She spent much of her early life under different stage names, Zara Jabber, before finally settling on the name Zara Nutley. Her acting journey began in repertory theater after dabbling in amateur drama, eventually leading her to teach and study at the Florence Moore Drama Studio in Hove during the 1950s. Though she didn't land her most iconic TV role until age 53, Zara's presence on screen was magnetic. Beyond Mind Your Language, she brought razor-sharp wit to her portrayal of Eleanor in the later seasons of Never the Twain, a strict, sharp-tongued spinster with impeccable comedic timing. Zara Nutley passed away on October 9, 2016 in Uckfield, East Sussex, at the age of 92. She lived a long life, largely away from the spotlight, but her performance as Miss Courtney, icy, commanding yet oddly endearing, remains etched in the heart of British comedy. Sometimes it's the quiet professionals who leave the loudest echoes. Ricardo Montes played Juan Cervantes, a role that turned him into the face of Mediterranean joy, with a thick Spanish accent, a cheeky grin, and a heart full of warmth. As the lovable bartender always trying his best to grasp English, he made viewers laugh, but also quietly honored the real struggles of immigrants starting over in a foreign land. Born Levi Isaac Attias on September 20, 1923 in Gibraltar, he lived through turbulent times. During World War II, his family was evacuated to England, and after returning home post-war, Ricardo took on whatever jobs he could find, sometimes in film, often just to get by. But his life changed in 1958 when actor Frankie Vaughan saw something special in him during the filming of Wonderful Things and encouraged him to pursue acting full-time. With that, Levi became Ricardo Montes, a name that would light up screens for decades. In 1962, he moved to London and soon became television's go-to actor for charming Spanish-accented characters. From The Saint and Doctor at Sea to Sharp's Honor and Casualty, his characters always brought a bit of sunshine with them. Even in 2008, well into his 80s, he made a final on-screen appearance in Mamma Mia, still smiling, still sparkling. Ricardo lived most of his later life in Richmond, London, but his heart never left Gibraltar. Married to Aravda Hatchwell since 1953, he raised a daughter and cherished his role as a grandfather. On October 26, 2010, he passed away from cancer at his daughter's home in Marbella, Spain at the age of 87. He didn't just act, he warmed every room he entered, and even now when we think of Juan Cervantes, we smile. Maybe that's the truest kind of legacy. Robert Lee played Taro Nagazumi, a role that brought quiet dignity and dry wit to the screen. As the soft-spoken Japanese businessman navigating English class with calm determination, he wasn't the loudest character, but he was the one you never forgot. Born Robert Yafu Lee on November 30, 1913 in Tianjin, China, he was a brilliant student who earned a history degree from Trinity College, Cambridge. Arriving in the UK as an international scholar, most assumed he'd become a professor, but Robert surprised everyone. He chose the stage. Before turning professional in 1944, he worked in Asian restaurants across Britain. Encouraged by friends, he stepped into acting and found a quiet niche. Over 3 decades, he appeared in You Only Live Twice, The Avengers, The Chinese Detective, The Bill, and more. Though rarely the star, viewers always remembered the way he brought quiet authenticity to every role. He never married. In an interview, he once said that marriage felt like too much responsibility. Instead, he lived alone in a modest Hampstead flat, not surrounded by trophies or applause, but by faded scripts and memories no one else ever saw. Yet he remained dedicated to his craft, acting well into his 70s, even as the spotlight dimmed. After a 2-year battle with illness, Robert Lee passed away on December 1, 1986, just 1 day after his 73rd birthday. He didn't leave behind headlines or tabloid stories. He left behind something rarer, moments of quiet truth on screen. And in those still moments, his presence still lingers. Iris Sadler played Gladys, the cheerful tea lady whose gentle eyes and quiet warmth made her the heart of every scene she touched. Though never the lead, her presence was unforgettable, offering calm in a classroom full of chaos and comfort when laughter needed a softer edge. Born on March 22, 1908 in England, Iris worked for decades as a character actress, often overlooked but never unworthy. She appeared in classics like Dixon of Dock Green and Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, but true recognition didn't come until later in life, when, at 69, she found a quiet spotlight as Gladys. Her real-life story, though, held far more weight than any script. Married in the 1930s, Iris was abandoned by her husband after World War II and left to raise 2 children alone. At a time when divorce was still a social scar, she had no choice but to press on, taking whatever roles she could find, big or small, to keep food on the table. In her final years, she lived modestly in London. Her health faded, and her income came mostly from minimal actors' benefits. When Iris Sadler passed away on January 12, 1991, at the age of 82, the newspapers barely noticed. But for those who loved her as Gladys, her smile still lingers. In a world that often celebrates only the stars, she was a quiet beam of light, and sometimes that's the part we remember most. Tommy Godfrey played Sid, a loud, fast-talking, working-class Londoner whose every scene was filled with cheeky charm and sharp wit. Though just a guest character, he brought a raw, relatable humor that captured the culture clash of a changing London. Born on June 20, 1916, in London, Thomas Frederick Godfrey grew up surrounded by the music halls and variety shows that shaped British entertainment. He started as a tap dancer in a trio act called Godfrey, Randall and Dean before moving into solo comedy, where his thick Cockney accent and streetwise style became his signature. Tommy became a familiar face across British television. From Love Thy Neighbor to On the Buses, Z-Cars, The Saint and The Avengers, he portrayed the everyday man, not polished, not perfect, but full of heart. He was 61 when he stepped into Mind Your Language, injecting moments of comic gold and unfiltered honesty that left viewers grinning. It was just one of many roles in a career that spanned over 3 decades, mostly in supporting parts, but always delivered with soul. Tommy Godfrey passed away quietly on June 24, 1984, just 4 days after his 68th birthday. There were no headlines, no fanfare, but in living rooms across the UK, people remembered him. Because Tommy didn't need the spotlight to be seen, he lived in the laughter, the accents, and the little truths he brought to life. Russell Hunter played Jock, a proud, sharp-tongued Scottish cab driver whose fiery debates with students added a jolt of regional humor and cultural pride. Though it was just a single episode, his performance was unforgettable, funny, pointed, and deeply Scottish in every sense. Born Adam Russell Hunter on February 18, 1925 in Glasgow, he was raised by his grandparents in Lanarkshire amid poverty and tough times. He started life working in a shipyard, but the call of the stage pulled him in. By 1946, he had launched his acting career, eventually performing with the Royal Shakespeare Company and sharing the spotlight with legends like Peggy Ashcroft and Edith Evans. His breakout role came in Callan, where he played Lonely, a scruffy, jittery informant with a haunted look. From 1967 to 1972, and again in the 1974 film and 1981 TV movie Wet Job, Russell made that character iconic. He once joked that after filming, he had to wear cologne and shave closely just to shake off the smell of lonely. Russell Hunter passed away on February 26, 2004, at the age of 79. There were no scandals, no headlines, just the quiet departure of a man who had given his whole life to the craft. He never sought fame, he sought truth in performance, and that quiet commitment, that quiet brilliance, is what made him unforgettable. Michael Sheard played the police sergeant, a stone-faced, no-nonsense officer who brought an unexpected twist of dry humor to a show filled with chaos. It was a small role, but with Sheard, no role ever felt small. Born Michael Lawson Perkins on June 18, 1938 in Aberdeen, Scotland, he didn't have the looks of a leading man, but he had a face you never forgot. cold, commanding, intense, he became one of British television's most recognizable villains. To fans around the world, he was Admiral Ozzel, choked out by Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. To British audiences, he was Maurice Bronson, the terrifying deputy headmaster of Grange Hill. Sheard trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and served in the Royal Air Force before finding his way to the stage. At Perth Rep, he once shared a flat with a young Donald Sutherland. Over 4 decades, he appeared in nearly every major British TV drama, from Doctor Who to The Professionals, always delivering characters that left a mark, whether you loved them or feared them. Michael Sheard passed away from cancer on August 31, 2005, at the age of 67. He fought the disease quietly, never asking for sympathy, only for the next script, the next role, the next chance to give it his all. He passed away in the stillness of his home, surrounded not by cameras or applause, but by old scripts, family photos, and the quiet memories of a 40-year career lived with quiet excellence. Michael Sheard proved that even supporting roles, when played with soul, can echo louder than 1,000 lead performances. Sonny Caldinez played Surinder's father, a stern but humorous Indian patriarch whose towering presence brought both discipline and levity to his brief appearance. Though his time on screen was short, Sonny's impact was instant. With just a look or a pause, he could dominate the scene. Born on July 1, 1932 in Trinidad and Tobago, Sonny started his career as a professional wrestler before stepping into the world of acting. Standing at 6'4" with a powerful build, he became the go-to actor for roles that required physical strength and silent intimidation. He's best known for portraying the Ice Warriors in Doctor Who, playing roles like Turok and Skjal across 4 classic serials. His performances didn't rely on words, they relied on presence. He also appeared in cult favorites like The Man with the Golden Gun, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and The Fifth Element. Sonny Caldinez passed away on April 12, 2022, in England at the age of 89. Though often cast in roles with few lines, his silent power made him unforgettable, and for fans of sci-fi and classic television, his legacy is one of strength, mystery, and lasting screen magic. Zora Seagal played Mrs. Singh, a sharp-witted, no-nonsense South Asian elder who, despite her brief guest appearances, left an unmistakable impression with her presence, poise, and piercing delivery. She was 65 when she appeared on screen, but by then Zora was already a living legend. Born Zora Mumtaz Seagal on April 27, 1912, in Rampur, then British India, she came from a Muslim aristocratic family. At just 1 year old, she lost sight in one eye due to glaucoma, yet nothing ever dimmed her spirit. She studied in Germany, becoming the first Indian woman to train in modern dance at the Mary Wigman School. She later joined Uday Shankar's dance troupe and toured the world. Her marriage to Hindu dancer Kameshwar Seagal, 8 years her junior, defied both religion and tradition. After losing her husband in 1959, Zora raised her children alone and rebuilt her life from scratch in Delhi. Then, in her 50s, she began again, this time in London on a theater scholarship. She became a trailblazer for South Asian actors in British media, appearing in Doctor Who, The Jewel in the Crown, and Tandoori Nights, opening doors no one else dared to push. Even into her 90s, she was unstoppable, riding motorbikes, standing up to villains, and still stealing scenes in Indian cinema. In July 2014, she was hospitalized with pneumonia. She remained lucid and full of life until her final day. Zora Seagal passed away from heart failure on July 10, 2014, at the age of 102. Her legacy isn't just about longevity, it's about defiance. Zora didn't just age gracefully, she rebelled, endured, and kept dancing all the way to the very end. Mind Your Language wasn't just a sitcom, it was a part of our lives. And these actors, they gave it soul. If one of them made you laugh, cry, or simply remember the good old days, leave a comment below and hit like to help keep their legacy alive.